A lesson in strength and determination, learning through the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Today, we will learn English through a story that also teaches wisdom, the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger, a dreamer, athlete, and leader who showed the world the power of discipline and self-belief. This story is written in simple and clear English to help you practice reading, understanding, and reflecting, while also learning values such as focus, courage, and resilience. As you follow each part, notice how words and ideas connect, and how one person's journey can inspire you to grow stronger in your own life. Just as Arnold built his strength and success step by step, you too can grow in confidence, patience, and determination by studying a little every day, believing in your goals, and never giving up on your progress. Let's begin. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story begins in a small Austrian village named Thal, where he was born in 1947. His father was a police officer who valued discipline, and his mother was caring yet strict. Life in post-war Austria was modest and full of hardship, but young Arnold was driven by curiosity and ambition. He dreamed of a larger world, one beyond the small town where he spent his early days. The walls of his home were filled with order and routine, yet his mind was filled with vision and imagination. He admired the idea of transformation, turning weakness into strength, obscurity into fame. At an early age, he discovered his fascination with strength. When he saw pictures of bodybuilders in magazines, he was amazed by the sculpted shapes of their muscles. To him, those men looked like living statues, embodiments of human will and control. He began lifting weights made from simple tools, stones, wooden bars, and anything he could find. The small, cold gym in Graz where he trained soon became his sanctuary. There, the smell of iron and the rhythm of effort replaced the quiet of his family's home. Arnold's determination was relentless. He set goals for himself with precise focus. He trained early in the morning, often before sunrise, and continued until his muscles trembled. To him, pain was not a sign to stop, but a signal of progress. He believed every repetition brought him closer to freedom, a chance to create a life entirely of his own making. He admired American icons, such as Reg Park, a British bodybuilder and actor who had become a symbol of success through effort. Arnold began to imagine himself following a similar path, traveling to America, becoming a champion, and then stepping onto movie screens. It was not just a dream. It became his mission. Winning his first local bodybuilding contest gave him confidence and a sense of direction. He soon caught the attention of the international bodybuilding community. His physique, balanced with strength and symmetry, was something new. Every competition became a lesson in persistence. When he lost, he studied why. When he won, he pushed harder. He learned English by memorizing bodybuilding terms and reading American fitness magazines. His notebooks were filled with vocabulary and training plans, each word marking another step toward the life he wanted. Eventually, his dedication led him to win the Mr. Universe title at only 20 years old. For a boy from Thal, this victory was more than a medal. It was proof that vision could defeat limitation. Yet even then, Arnold knew his story was only beginning. His mind was already moving beyond bodybuilding, searching for new challenges that could test his creativity and willpower. When he finally arrived in America, he felt both excitement and isolation. The streets of Los Angeles were loud, unfamiliar, and full of opportunity. He worked hard, often living on little money while training for competitions and learning business principles. His accent, once mocked, became part of his charm. His confidence, his drive, and his ability to see the long road ahead made him stand out. He was not just a man lifting weights. He was building an empire in America. Arnold found himself surrounded by people who shared his passion, but few who matched his intensity. Venice Beach became his training ground, a place where the sun and sea met the clang of metal weights. The gym was more than a building. It was a laboratory where he refined his technique, his discipline, and his mindset. Every session was a deliberate act of self-construction. He analyzed his muscles as an artist studies form and light, always searching for balance and proportion. He began to win major titles, Mr. Olympia, Mr. World, and more. Each victory brought recognition, but also higher expectations. The bodybuilding world began to see him as a legend in the making. Reporters described him as confident, ambitious, and almost unstoppable. Yet behind every smile and trophy, there was the same boy from Thal, still hungry, still striving. Fame did not soften him. It sharpened his purpose. Arnold understood that success required more than strength. He studied marketing, business, and psychology. He observed how people responded to charisma and how image could amplify achievement. He invested his early earnings into real estate, showing a rare kind of foresight for a young athlete. Every move he made was strategic, a step toward independence. He did not want to rely on luck or fame. He wanted to build stability that would last beyond any title. The world began to change around him. The 1970s brought new ideas of health, fitness, and self-improvement. Arnold became the symbol of that movement. His body represented discipline. His story represented possibility. Magazines featured him not just as an athlete, but as an example of ambition. He spoke at seminars, wrote columns, and inspired people to believe that through effort, they could shape their lives. Then came another dream. Since his teenage years, he had admired heroes on screen, powerful, larger-than-life figures. Cinema fascinated him as much as bodybuilding had. Acting, however, was a new challenge. His accent, his size, and his unusual background were obstacles in Hollywood. Many agents dismissed him, saying he would never fit into American films. But those words only fueled him. He enrolled in acting classes, studied scripts, and observed performances with the same focus he once applied to lifting weights. His persistence paid off when he was offered a small role in a film called Hercules in New York. The movie was modest, but it marked the start of his acting career. His next roles were more meaningful, leading to the film Stay Hungry, which showed his ability to bring depth to a character beyond physical strength. Slowly, the industry began to take notice. The defining moment came in 1982 with Conan the Barbarian. The film was a test of his presence and intensity. His commanding physique and determined gaze fit perfectly with the role of a warrior destined for greatness. The success of the film made him a global name. For Arnold, it was not just fame. It was validation that his lifelong belief in willpower and discipline could transcend any boundary. After Conan the Barbarian, Arnold's path led him into a new era of fame and influence. Hollywood began to view him as more than a bodybuilder turned actor. He had become a cultural force. His next defining moment arrived with The Terminator in 1984. The film was dark, futuristic, and driven by a simple but powerful concept. As the unstoppable cyborg assassin, he embodied both menace and fascination. His few lines of dialogue, delivered with mechanical precision, became part of film history. The phrase, "I'll be back," turned into a symbol of persistence and unbreakable will. The success of The Terminator transformed his career completely. Directors saw his ability to express strength, emotion, and subtle humor even in roles built on action. He became one of the leading figures of 1980 cinema, joining the ranks of movie legends. But unlike others, Arnold always combined physicality with intelligence. He studied his scripts carefully, asked questions about lighting, framing, and storytelling. He wanted to understand the full craft of filmmaking. Behind the screen persona was a disciplined learner, always analyzing and improving. Films such as Commando, Predator, and Total Recall followed. Each one expanded his range and deepened his reputation. Audiences around the world were drawn to his combination of power and charm. He could be fierce and heroic, yet carry a sense of humor that made his characters human. He understood that action movies were not only about fights, but about personality. The way he carried himself, the deliberate gestures, the confident stance became part of his cinematic identity. Outside of acting, Arnold's business sense continued to grow. He invested in fitness centers, nutritional supplements, and media ventures. He became a public figure who balanced entertainment and entrepreneurship. His influence spread beyond the screen. People looked to him not only as an actor, but as a model of motivation. He gave speeches emphasizing the power of vision, effort, and persistence. His message was simple. Success is not luck, but the result of clear goals and relentless action. As time passed, he began exploring a new side of himself, the desire to give back. He supported youth programs and promoted physical education. He saw fitness not only as a sport, but as a philosophy for life. Schools, communities, and organizations invited him to speak about health, discipline, and purpose. His personal story became a teaching tool, showing that greatness could grow from the smallest beginnings. Then came another turning point. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Arnold's attention shifted toward public service. He had long admired American ideals and felt gratitude for the opportunities the country had given him. Becoming a U.S. citizen had been one of his proudest moments. Now he wanted to contribute on a larger scale. His interest in politics grew out of a belief that leadership required the same principles as success in sport or film: vision, persistence, and responsibility. The opportunity came when he ran for governor of California in 2003. Many doubted him at first, seeing him as merely a celebrity candidate. But once again, Arnold relied on discipline and preparation. He studied issues, built a team, and spoke directly to the public. His campaign emphasized optimism and reform. He promised to work for fiscal stability, environmental protection, and education. His energy and charisma attracted support across party lines. Arnold Schwarzenegger's election as governor of California marked an extraordinary transformation, from a small-town Austrian boy to one of the most influential leaders in the United States. His victory speech reflected the same belief that had guided his entire life: the idea that no dream was too big for determination. Stepping into politics brought new challenges, far different from those of sports or cinema. It was no longer about individual strength or performance. It was about managing complex systems and making decisions that affected millions of lives. During his time as governor, Arnold faced economic struggles, environmental issues, and the constant balance between parties and public expectations. He approached government as he had approached training, by setting clear goals and maintaining a strong work ethic. He often rose before dawn, read reports, and attended long meetings that tested his patience and strategic thinking. To him, leadership was about problem-solving, not personal comfort. One of his major focuses was environmental reform. Coming from a background where power and industry were celebrated, he surprised many by becoming a leading advocate for renewable energy and climate action. He supported legislation that aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote sustainable technology. He believed that innovation could serve both the economy and the planet. His stance earned him international respect, showing that strength could be combined with responsibility. In education and health, he promoted programs encouraging physical fitness and after-school activities. His childhood experiences, of limited resources but strong discipline, shaped his understanding of youth potential. He often visited schools, speaking about persistence and courage. He reminded students that greatness begins with daily effort, not privilege. These initiatives reflected his lifelong mission to inspire others to take control of their own paths. Yet political life also tested him with controversy and criticism. California's financial challenges and partisan tensions created obstacles that no amount of physical power could overcome easily. Some decisions were unpopular. Some reforms took longer than expected. But Arnold faced difficulties with the same endurance that had once carried him through long training sessions. He learned to adapt, negotiate, and listen. The lessons of the gym patience, repetition, focus, found new meaning in the world of governance. When his second term ended in 2011, he left office with mixed political reviews but lasting influence. His approach to environmental policy was considered forward-thinking, and his ability to communicate across divides was widely respected. More importantly, he had proven that transformation was possible at every stage of life. His transition from athlete to actor, and from actor to public servant, represented a modern form of self-reinvention. After leaving office, Arnold did not retire. Instead, he entered a new chapter centered on mentorship, philanthropy, and global advocacy. He founded organizations to support climate initiatives, sustainable energy projects, and after-school programs. He continued speaking at conferences and universities, sharing his philosophy of progress through action. His tone was often motivational yet practical, encouraging people to turn ambition into structure and structure into achievement. The world around him continued to change, but his personal code remained the same. He still trained daily, emphasizing that physical discipline nurtured mental clarity. He viewed aging not as decline but as evolution, a chance to redefine purpose and expand influence. His story became a map for anyone who wished to transform obstacles into opportunities. In the years following his time as governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger devoted himself to reflection and purpose. He began to view his life not as a series of separate achievements, but as one continuous journey of reinvention. The athlete, the actor, and the leader were not different people, but expressions of the same mindset, an unbreakable belief in discipline, vision, and personal responsibility. He often spoke about how success was built in silence, through effort repeated day after day, long before any public recognition arrived. He turned much of his attention toward environmental leadership. His commitment to fighting climate change became one of his defining causes. Through initiatives like the 20 Regions of Climate Action, he encouraged local governments around the world to adopt sustainable practices. He worked with scientists, entrepreneurs, and activists to promote clean energy solutions, proving that environmental progress could align with economic growth. For him, protecting the planet was not a political stance but a moral duty, a responsibility to future generations. His global influence extended beyond policy. He became a symbol of transformation and resilience. Universities invited him to speak about leadership, focusing on how strength came not from dominance but from consistency. In these talks, he described his failures with honesty, the times when he faced rejection, exhaustion, or public criticism. To him, those experiences were not defeats but necessary stages of learning. His message was that confidence must be built through humility, and success sustained by gratitude. Arnold also returned gradually to film, not with the same urgency of his earlier career, but with a sense of balance. Roles and sequels to The Terminator and Conan reflected nostalgia, yet they also carried symbolic meaning. They showed the endurance of legacy and the evolution of identity. He no longer needed to prove his strength. He sought to express wisdom through it. Audiences responded warmly, seeing in him not just a hero of the past, but a mentor figure, a man who had lived through eras of change and remained grounded. His daily routine remained disciplined. He trained every morning, often beginning before sunrise. Exercise for him was not vanity but structure, a ritual that maintained order in both body and mind. He emphasized moderation, recovery, and mindfulness, encouraging others to find joy in movement rather than fear of aging. He once wrote that the body is a reflection of the mind's habits, and he lived by that principle. At home, his life became quieter but never idle. He devoted time to art, architecture, and nature. He collected sculptures, studied urban design, and promoted outdoor activities. He built connections between fitness and creativity, seeing both as expressions of human potential. Friends describe his home as a mix of gym, study, and workshop, an environment built for thinking, training, and creating. He also developed stronger relationships with charities supporting children, veterans, and disaster relief. His foundation provided funding for after-school programs that taught teamwork, resilience, and confidence. Arnold saw these programs as tools for empowerment, offering children the guidance he once lacked in his youth. His personal presence at events, smiling, shaking hands, encouraging others, remained one of his most powerful gestures. In interviews and writings, he spoke about legacy. For him, it was not about fame or wealth, but about impact. A meaningful life, he said, is one that continues to give after the applause fades. He wanted to be remembered not only as a man of strength, but as a man of purpose. His life had shown that self-belief could move from the gym to the screen, from the screen to the world stage. Each chapter was built on the same foundation. Vision turned into action as the years passed. Arnold Schwarzenegger's influence began to take on a timeless quality. He was no longer simply an icon of strength or fame, but a living example of continual evolution. The decades of experience behind him had carved a character marked by resilience, discipline, and perspective. He had lived several lives within one lifetime, and now he sought to use his story as a lesson in self-mastery. He spoke more openly about the mental side of achievement. For him, mindset was a true engine of transformation. He often described success as a kind of architecture built from daily habits, patience, and imagination. The weights in the gym, the scripts in his early acting classes, the policy documents during his governorship, all were tools in shaping endurance and clarity. He encouraged others to take control of their internal dialogue, replacing doubt with structure and fear with planning. His approach to failure remained unique. Instead of avoiding mistakes, he studied them. Each disappointment became raw material for the next success. When asked about setbacks, he compared them to muscle fatigue, necessary pain that produced future strength. That philosophy shaped his later years into a period of wisdom rather than decline. His speeches often began with the idea that life's real competition was not against others, but against one's own limits. He also became a kind of global cultural bridge. People from vastly different backgrounds saw reflections of themselves in his story. Immigrants, workers, athletes, dreamers, and leaders. His accent, once considered a barrier, became a universal symbol of determination. It reminded audiences that identity could be expanded without losing origin. He remained proud of his Austrian roots, while deeply loyal to the ideals of the United States, embodying a blend of cultures that resonated across generations. At the same time, he explored creativity through writing and media. His memoir, Total Recall, served as both autobiography and instruction manual for ambition. The pages carried the rhythm of his life: discipline, humor, reflection, and honesty. He described moments of triumph and failure with the same calm authority, showing that success and struggle were parts of a single continuum. The book became a guide for people seeking motivation beyond cliches, offering practical insight into building purpose from ordinary beginnings. In interviews, he often discussed the idea of service as the highest form of strength. For him, leadership meant giving others the courage to act. He worked with organizations that trained young people in environmental awareness, leadership, and personal health. He traveled widely, meeting with innovators and students, emphasizing that the future depended on shared responsibility. His tone was neither political nor theoretical. It was pragmatic, rooted in lived experience. His personal life continued with a rhythm of reflection and renewal. He maintained close ties with his children, guiding them with affection and respect. He taught them the same principles that had defined his journey: hard work, curiosity, and kindness. He also rekindled old friendships from his bodybuilding and film days, enjoying moments of nostalgia without being trapped by the past. Time had softened the edges of ambition, but not the core of it. Arnold's public image matured into something almost philosophical. People began to see him not as a man chasing success, but as a teacher of perseverance. His speeches, full of quiet authority, blended humor and wisdom. He spoke of the importance of vision boards, daily goals, and gratitude journals. He encouraged people to live intentionally, to recognize that every hour, like every repetition, built the structure of their future. In a world often driven by distraction, he represented focus. In his later years, Arnold Schwarzenegger became deeply involved in global initiatives addressing climate change and sustainable development. He understood that the world faced challenges that required both action and innovation. Through collaborations with scientists, engineers, and policymakers, he advocated for renewable energy projects, improved public transportation, and a reduction of carbon emissions. He believed that the same principles of discipline and vision that had guided his life could also guide society toward a more sustainable future. His advocacy extended to education and youth empowerment. Arnold frequently visited schools, universities, and community programs to inspire young people. He emphasized the importance of setting ambitious goals and maintaining perseverance even when obstacles seemed insurmountable. He spoke not only of physical strength, but also of mental resilience, teaching that the ability to overcome challenges began with consistent effort and self-belief. His life story became a blueprint for turning dreams into actionable steps. Even as a public figure, he remained connected to the everyday practices that had built him. Daily training, balanced nutrition, and disciplined routines were as central to him as ever. Exercise was not merely about appearance, but about clarity of mind and longevity. He often said that maintaining a strong body helped maintain a strong spirit, and that structure in daily life created freedom for creativity and leadership. Arnold's film legacy continued to resonate with new generations. Young audiences discovered the characters he had embodied decades earlier, and they found inspiration in his determination and courage. At the same time, his older fans admired the continuity of his principles. The roles he had played, warriors, heroes, and adventurers, reflected real-life qualities of persistence, focus, and resilience that transcended fiction. He also devoted more time to writing and sharing wisdom. In essays, speeches, and social media posts, he offered reflections on growth, discipline, and personal responsibility. He encouraged people to embrace challenges as opportunities to expand potential. His tone was practical yet motivational, blending humor with insight. Life, he explained, was like a long training session. Consistency mattered more than sudden bursts, and progress often came quietly, unseen until it became visible in results. Family and personal connections remained central to his life. Arnold nurtured relationships with his children, friends, and colleagues, teaching by example rather than by instruction. His mentorship emphasized independence, ethical responsibility, and the pursuit of excellence. He valued shared experiences, from hiking to training to creative projects, understanding that learning was continuous and often communal. Despite his fame and influence, he maintained humility. He remembered the small Austrian village where he grew up, the modest apartment, the simple gym with homemade weights. Those early experiences shaped his understanding of effort, resilience, and gratitude. He often reflected that no achievement could replace the lessons learned through struggle, perseverance, and self-discipline. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story, by now, was widely recognized as one of reinvention and endurance. He had moved across continents, industries, and social spheres, transforming himself at each stage while remaining guided by the same principles. Strength, vision, and persistence had defined not only his body but his mind, his career, and his legacy. He had shown that ambition, when combined with discipline, could create impact far beyond personal success. Arnold Schwarzenegger's life became a testament to the power of self-determination. He demonstrated that transformation was possible at any age and across any field. From a small Austrian village to international stages, his journey illustrated how persistence, planning, and resilience could overcome limitations. Every chapter of his life, from athlete to actor, from businessman to governor, and from advocate to mentor, was built on deliberate choices and unwavering effort. He continued to speak about the importance of vision. To him, dreaming without action was meaningless, while disciplined action without vision lacked direction. He encouraged people to set clear goals, break them into achievable steps, and remain consistent. Life, he often explained, resembled a training regimen he had followed since youth. Repetition, patience, and gradual growth were essential. Small efforts compounded over time, producing results that seemed impossible at first. Arnold also emphasized the integration of mind and body. He believed that physical discipline strengthened mental resilience and that mental clarity guided effective action. Exercise, healthy nutrition, and regular practice became metaphors for broader life lessons. He advised young people to cultivate both strength and intelligence, understanding that leadership, creativity, and influence emerge from balanced development. Despite his achievements, he remained committed to learning. Even after decades of experience, he studied global issues, innovation in technology, and cultural shifts. He engaged with experts, asked questions, and reflected critically. For Arnold, growth never stopped. Each stage of life presented new opportunities to evolve. His curiosity was as powerful as his determination, forming the foundation for his enduring relevance. His impact extended through media, public service, and personal mentorship. He shared lessons on persistence, ethical responsibility, and the value of hard work. People were inspired not just by his physical achievements, but by the depth of his dedication and the clarity of his purpose. He became a symbol that excellence could be cultivated, and that transformation was a continuous process rather than a single event. Arnold's philosophy also highlighted resilience in the face of failure. Rejection, criticism, and setbacks were reframed as tools for improvement. He taught that embracing challenges and learning from mistakes strengthened character. Life, he insisted, was not about avoiding adversity, but navigating it with discipline and optimism. Each obstacle was an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. In private moments, he reflected on the meaning of legacy. It was not fame or fortune, but influence and inspiration, the ability to motivate others to pursue their potential. He measured success by the impact on people's lives, the encouragement of self-discipline, and the cultivation of vision. His own story was a template for change, demonstrating that anyone could rise beyond circumstance through effort, strategy, and persistence. Ultimately, Arnold Schwarzenegger became more than a bodybuilder, actor, or politician. He became an emblem of transformation, showing that discipline, vision, and resilience could shape not only a single life, but also the lives of countless others. His journey illustrated that greatness is not inherited or given, but earned through relentless effort, continuous learning, and unwavering belief in one's capacity to grow. Through every chapter, he embodied the principle that human potential is limitless when guided by determination, structure, and purpose. What we can learn. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story is more than a tale of fame and strength. It is a lesson about the power of discipline, vision, and hard work. He proved that real success does not come from luck or talent alone, but from clear goals, daily effort, and the courage to dream big. In the same way, learning English or any new skill requires patience, focus, and practice. You must keep reading, listening, writing, and thinking, even when it feels difficult. Every small effort builds your power. Mistakes are not failures. They are steps toward mastery. Each time you try again, you grow stronger, just as muscles grow through challenge. Real learning, like real strength, develops slowly through dedication, patience, and consistency. By following this example, you will see that learning a language is not just about remembering words. It is about building confidence, focus, and inner strength. Thank you for reading and learning through the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you enjoyed it, continue your practice with more stories that teach both English and wisdom. Keep your goals clear, your spirit strong, and let every new word guide you toward success in English and in life.